things are finally starting to look up. We have a newfound sense of hope. We're out of the storm and we're ready to assess and reevaluate and take stock of the changes that we've made. I think that people are going to feel much more hopeful than they have in quite some time. And this is a very imaginative, very creative energy. Hi everyone, Heather here with astrologywithheather.com, and I am back with another weekly forecast. This one is for Monday, July 12th, all the way through to Sunday, July 18th of 2021. And this week, things are finally starting to look up. We have a newfound sense of hope, optimism, clarity, compassion, security, intuition. All of these wonderful things are coming online this week, and even though there is still a little bit of that frazzled energy left, there is so much good coming into the astrology right now, and that good is going to continue for at least a couple of weeks here. And so, I'm super, super excited for this week's forecast because we've been dealing with a lot of stress and a lot of strain with that Saturn square Uranus energy, and especially with that Mars activation, which has really been pushing us to either act rather hastily or impulsively, or it's been forcing us to move forward with plans to overcome obstacles, to make changes to the structures and foundations of our lives that maybe we don't feel prepared or fully ready to make, but we've had to embrace this energy. We've had to move forward. And so there's been a lot going on, a lot on our plates, and this week we get a little bit of reprieve and we start to move into some of the more pleasant end of summer energies that we'll be experiencing, over these next few weeks here. So I'm very excited, and I'm especially excited that Mercury is not going to be squaring Pisces or Neptune and Pisces anymore. It's direct. It's out of the sign of Gemini, which is normally a nice placement, by the way, for Mercury transiting Gemini, but it's just been on and off and square with Neptune, causing a lot of confusion, causing a lot of ambivalence, causing a lot of just uncertainty and a lack of clarity that we're ready to move on from. And so this week we have Mercury in Cancer making a beautiful trine to Jupiter in Pisces. And so we'll talk about that in our forecast this week. But before we get into that, I just want to mention, for those of you who are new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I do a new weekly forecast every single Saturday at 9 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, and so you don't want to miss an important astrology update. And even if you're not new to my channel, the way that I structure my videos is I always start with a 5 to 10 minute general astrology forecast. Please don't skip this because it's going to provide an important context for the energy we'll be discussing in our forecast for all 12 signs. Speaking of which, when we do get into the forecast for all 12 signs, make sure you listen to your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign to get a more holistic overview of the energy for your week ahead. Your rising sign will be the most predominant energy, your sun sign will be secondary, and the moon sign is important to listen to as well, although this energy will be more internalized and subjective. Finally, at the end of each video, I do a 2 to 3 minute overview of next week's energy so you can be even farther ahead when it comes to planning for success or planning around the challenges utilizing the astrology. So stick around to the end if you're interested in that. And so let's get into, or I guess get a little deeper into the energy that we're experiencing this week. And so, yes, we have a Venus conjunction to Mars happening on Tuesday. And yes, this is kind of triggering that Saturn-Uranus square in a looser sort of sense. It's triggering that T-square with Mars, Saturn, Uranus, which is not exact anymore, but it's still relevant. But Venus, Venus can do some good even when it's causing a little bit of a ruckus. And so I would say that, yes, there could be imbalances that come up this week that people are having to very suddenly correct in their relationships or in their lives in one way or another. However, with the really intense energy around optimism and hope and compassion and empathy, and like this really supportive, nurturing energy that we're getting with all of this Cancer and all of this Pisces coming into the mix, I think that people are going to feel much more hopeful than they have in quite some time, especially now that we're kind of out of the thick of it. We're out of the storm and we're ready to assess and reevaluate and take stock of the changes that we've made, take stock of what what we need to move forward with. So yes, there's an imbalance that might be brought to light. There's some sort of adjustment we need to make. That's going to continue all year long. It has been continuing all year long, but the peak intensity, that is starting to fade. And this energy here with Mercury, which is newly transiting the sign of Cancer, it's actually making a trine to Jupiter. And so, even though Mercury in Cancer isn't maybe the most logical of energies, it's more about thinking things through in terms of feelings and intuition. So, allowing your intuition or your gut instincts to guide the decisions that you make, to guide the information that you provide, the communications that you have, to guide the way that you interpret and think about whatever's coming up for you in your life right now. It is that more intuitive energy as opposed to a logical energy. But what's really exciting about this Mercury ingress into Cancer is that it helps us to be much more compassionate, much more supportive of other people. We're much more caring and careful with our language. Like, we have a better understanding of how our words impact other people and the way that they feel. Also, we'll be describing things more in terms of feeling and sensation and emotion, as opposed to describing things more visually or more logically or something along those lines. And so that's always an interesting thing to kind of notice when you're looking at like the headlines in the media, or just having conversations with friends, especially friends who are more Cancerian already. You'll see that their language shifts a little bit during that Mercury Cancer transit. And in this particular Mercury Cancer transit, it's in a really nice trine with Jupiter. Jupiter, when it's in trine with Mercury, brings an innate sense of perspective that you wouldn't otherwise have. It gives you the wisdom to understand the bigger picture of whatever it is that you're dealing with and working through. And it definitely creates a sense of optimism and hope, especially in its home sign of Pisces, which is a very idealistic, hopeful sort of sign and energy that Jupiter is being expressed through. So it's expressing those benefits through this lens of hope, through this lens of optimism, through this lens of the ideal of what could be. And this is a very imaginative, very creative energy. Anybody who does creative writing or uses language in a very creative way is going to benefit from this transit. Everyone's going to benefit from this transit in terms of like just having better, more compassionate, more supportive connections and conversations. This is also really great for, I would say commerce that's like businesses that are centered around creativity, spirituality, support, emotional support, that type of thing. That could actually be one of these areas that benefits from this energy. Anything that benefits maybe families and that type of thing too, if that's something that you're into or that your business is associated with. Now's a time when that could actually pick up for you, or that could be beneficial to you, especially given like a new marketing campaign or something like that. Just as like a little side note there, kind of super mundane. But the other thing that's happening is that we have the sun. The sun is in the sign of Cancer. We are at 23 to 25 degrees Cancer-ish this week. And so the first transit that the sun is going to make on Thursday is going to be a trine to Neptune. And then 2 days later on Saturday, it's going to make an exact opposition to Pluto. This is a very nurturing, compassionate, spiritually driven, very intuitive, very psychic energy. If you want to tap into something, if you want to gain insight and gain a different perspective from the normal day-to-day mundane reality, this energy will provide that opportunity for you. This energy will provide that catalyst for you to make that change. People, again, are going to be feeling much more hopeful, but they're going to be hopeful in a way that's more grounded, down to earth, and precise, and that's connected to what's really going on, the core truth of what's being presented or what's being illuminated. This would actually be where really challenging or really intense issues could be brought to light in a way that's very compassionate or very supportive, or that flows in kind of nicely, where otherwise it might be like a shock and awe type of situation that causes some sort of emotional upheaval or disruption. This could actually come about in a way where it's like, oh, okay, I'm seeing the big picture, I understand this, and I know what to do with this energy. And so that's what's going on for this week, kind of on a general level. And so let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning, of course, with Aries and Aries rising. And before we do, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. For those who aren't already aware, I have a free Astrology 101 PDF guide available for all of you to download. The link is right down in the description below. It covers the big three, it covers your signs, planets, houses, aspects. It's a quick reference guide that you can take a look at anytime you need to have a better understanding of astrological terminology or placements in your chart. And you can find that again free of charge down at the link in the description below. Also, my Cosmic community is migrating to a new website and a new space in a little over a week here. And I'm super, super excited about that because it means that the Cosmic community will be reopening for all of you very soon. It's going to be happening in August, so keep an eye out because I have a special gift to celebrate that grand reopening and this brand new, really much, much nicer online space that we've created and the community connection that will be facilitated by this new online space. And so keep an eye out for that. And let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs. Okay, so let's start with Aries and for Aries rising. So the main energy here for Aries and Aries rising is potentially just having really beautiful, really supportive, really hopeful, optimistic connections with your friends, your family, especially your family. This is a really good time for family support and family connection. I would say that anything that you want to start initiating plans with or, working through involving your home, family, and property, now's a time where you can start to seed that and set things in motion. If there's something that you need to gain clarity on when it comes to your family relationships, your ancestry, something along those lines, again, now is a time where that can occur. But this is especially a good time to have those really deep conversations, those deep emotional conversations with family members if that's something that needs to happen or has been sort of begging to happen. This is also a time where something that needs to be transformed around your work, your career, and public reputation can be illuminated for you. And you can feel really supported and you can feel like you have a sense of like clarity and intuitively you know exactly what you need to do about whatever it is that's being revealed that needs to be transformed. For Taurus and for Taurus rising. So for Taurus, this energy with Jupiter in a really nice trine with Mercury, this is happening in your communication house and in the house of connections, right? And so this is a really great time to reach out to friends, to reach out to your community, to talk to your siblings or extended family members, to even take a short trip, maybe as a group with your friends. Anything that you do involving communication, involving relationships, and involving connection with your tribe or your community or networking is bound to be quite fruitful and it's bound to bring you a lot of hope and optimism that you wouldn't otherwise have. There's something that could be illuminated this week for you involving a new educational pursuit or a new ideology or a new perspective on life that's revealed to you in a way that feels really good and that you're able to make sense of very intuitively in order to put it to use and transform what needs to be transformed about your mindset in order to work with this energy more effectively. For Gemini and for Gemini rising. So for Geminis, this Mercury trine to Jupiter, this is happening in your second and in your 10th house. And so this is actually a really great time where there could be actually like a communication or a message that comes in from a boss or a superior or around your work or through your work or about your finances that impacts your work. But in either case, there's like a message coming in this week for you about your money, about your finances, about your resources, about your spending, and how that relates to your career in one way or another. For some of you, you might get a small promotion or you might get a small raise or just some sort of praise or admiration. And for others, you could get a message or literally there could be some like mail that comes to you that gives you some sort of reward or recognition or that gives you, a little bit of extra cash, like a check in the mail or something like that. So, that's always good to have. If you need to have an important conversation with your boss or your superior or somebody about finances, somebody like in a position of power, and that doesn't have to be in the workplace either. It could be just kind of like in a general sense. If you need to have an important conversation like that where somebody has the power to say yes or no to it involving your financial situation, now's a time where that could go a lot more smoothly. There's definitely something being illuminated that needs to be transformed in the area of finance, and and you're intuitively going to know exactly what to do, especially when it comes to your career path, in order to make that happen and in order to, yeah, make the transformation that you need to make in that area. So for Cancer and for Cancer rising, this Mercury trine to Jupiter, this is actually happening in your sign and also in your ninth house. If you are somebody who is a Cancer, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 0 to 5 degrees, you're going to be feeling much more talkative, first off. You're going to be feeling like sharing, right? But you're also going to be feeling much more optimistic mentally and emotionally. You're going to have a newfound perspective this week that's brought into you about your life, about your situation right now. This is going to be a really great time for you to share some of your wisdom or some of your knowledge about an important topic that you hold dear out in the open, and to feel supported in doing that. This is a time to definitely make decisions, but to do so very intuitively, and to rely more on gut instincts versus logical, linear types of thinking. And this is a time also for some cancers that something could be illuminated in regarding like a close personal relationship, like a one-on-one relationship, like in marriage or in business or something along those lines. But the thing that's illuminated, it's gonna take some work or transformation, or you're gonna have to let go of something. But intuitively, you're gonna know exactly what to do and how to do it, and so it should work out pretty all right for you. For Leo and for Leo rising. So for Leos, this energy is happening in your eighth and in your 12th house. This is a really good time to turn inward, especially if you're a Leo sun, because you're coming up on your solar return. And if you're a Leo rising, because you have all of this energy right now, sort of configuring and collecting in your 12th house, which is the house of solitude, seclusion, rest, and reprieve. This is a really great time for journaling, for deep introspective work. You're going to get insights that you've never had or never found before, that alleviate fear, that alleviate anxiety, that alleviate internal pressures, that help you to overcome traumas and anxieties and past situations that have been locking you in this place of fear, that's been controlling your decisions, that's been controlling your behavior now and into the present moment. This is also a really great time for introspective work, centered around letting go of habits and addictions that no longer serve you, compulsions and obsessions and habits and things like that that are not so good for you, that you're doing out of fear, or from that place of being wounded or place of trauma. This is also a time where an important issue involving your work, career, or health could be illuminated for you. And, the way to transform through that and the way to harness that energy in a very positive way, it's going to be quite clear to you intuitively, so long as you're not overthinking it. For Virgo and for Virgo rising. So for Virgo, this energy is happening again in some social houses. So Virgo, sun, moon, or rising, you're having a really nice energy for having important, deep, emotional, supportive conversations with your friends or with your significant other or with people who you're very close with. This is a great time to socialize in general. So get out there, connect with your friends, connect with your group, connect with your tribe, or just connect with your partner, or connect with your partner within a group, right? Any of those things, connecting with people. This is a great time to do that. Having important conversations that need to be had with people. This is a great time to do that, especially if you're a Virgo, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 0 to 5 degrees. But just in general, good social week. Really great opportunities can come to you through communicating with other people and through connecting with a group or one on one. There's something that's being illuminated to you, for you, involving your deepest and truest desires and the things that you're deeply passionate about, or about your relationship with your children and how that relates to maybe your partnership or something along those lines. But basically, there's something being revealed to you involving your passions, your hobbies, your interests, the things that bring you joy, your deepest desires, maybe even your sexuality in your relationship, that you need to address, that you need to work on, that you need to transform. And it's going to be very clear to you exactly what to do with that energy. This could also involve something that needs to be transformed, or that needs to be focused on, involving your children. Again, there's this certain level of intuition and compassion. And especially if you work together in partnership with like your co-parent or your significant other or something along those lines, if that's applicable, you can really transform your relationship or something that's coming up for you around your children this week in a very positive way. For Libra and for Libra rising. So for Libras, this energy is happening in your sixth and in your 10th house with this Mercury trying to Jupiter. This is a great week for making plans, right? And sharing them when it comes to your big goals, your big dreams, your big career aspirations. This could be a really important time for you where you have an important message that comes in from a boss or a superior, or there's something that you really need to share out in the world that benefits you and your public standing in your career or your legacy. This is where, things are going to flow a lot more easily for you this week with your work. And you're going to have a lot of really good creative ideas. So long as you're relying more on your intuition than logic, you should be able to create some really good systems and plans that you can put into place moving forward for your work or even for your health. That could be part of it too. There's something that's been going on in the area of home, family, and property, or your place of living, that needs to be transformed or needs to be focused on in some way. And that's being illuminated this week. And the way that it's impacting your career is probably what's really being illuminated. And so this is a week where it's going to be very clear to you exactly what you need to do to transform the situation, so long as you're relying more on intuition than you are, again, on logic. For Scorpio and for Scorpio rising, this energy is happening in your ninth and in your fifth house. This is a great week to connect with something that brings you joy. This is a great week to learn about something that brings you joy, that's connected with your passions, that's connected with the things that you love to do because you just love to do them. This is a really great week to do something fun or to travel or to make some sort of really fun travel plans. Like if you had to make some travel arrangements, and that was becoming kind of pressing for you, now's a time where you can do that quite easily. And the results of those plans are more likely to be beneficial, which I know is something that a lot of people are kind of concerned about with making travel plans these days. Is this going to work out, right? Am I going to have some chaos going on with that? So, yeah, this would actually be a really great time for that. But really, it's just a good time to you're gaining a really, a newfound perspective on your situation. You're gaining a new perspective on the things that really matter to you in life, the things that are aligned with your values and belief systems, and the things that truly make you happy. And that this is a really good week to connect with all of that. There's something being illuminated for you, or yeah, there's something being illuminated for you that involves a major mindset shift that needs to happen, or an important message or communication, or again, it could be involving travel plans. Whatever it is that you are being required to focus on, it'll be very easy to understand exactly what you need to do to transform or work with that energy, so long as you do it intuitively and not super rationally. So for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. So for Sagittarius, this is happening in your fourth house, which is the house of home, family, and property. And this is with that eighth house energy. If you've been thinking about applying for a loan, or doing something involving financing, or making an investment, or cashing in on an investment involving your family, your inheritance, your heritage, your ancestry, or very literally your home or a property, now is a time where you can gain some momentum and perspective, and you can really understand what you need to do moving forward. And you might feel not just more hopeful, but you might have more opportunities coming up for you in that area. There's also this area of pressure and intensity in the second house of finances that's being illuminated for you, where you can really see what you need to do to transform your financial situation moving forward. It's very clear and it's very easy to do and understand, so long as you approach it intuitively and you're focusing your energy that way, as opposed to thinking about it or approaching it way too rationally. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising. So for Capricorns, this energy is happening in your seventh and in your third house. So another very social energy for Capricorns in particular. I love this energy for having really important communications with your spouse or significant other, or maybe even meeting someone through maybe through some sort of correspondence, right? That would be interesting. Like, I mean, it could be like an internet connection or something like that, but there's definitely an important communication coming in for you this week, involving somebody that you're close with, or involving somebody who you might become close with. This is a great week to connect with your community and to just enhance your communication and enhance your social visibility a little bit more so. And a really great time to have a deep, important conversation with your partner. It could be quite fruitful, especially if it's approached more in a way that's more supportive, more emotional, and more intuitive, as opposed to something more rational and logical. There's something being illuminated for you in terms of a big transformation that you need to make when it comes to yourself, when it comes to your body or physical appearance, or when it comes to the way that you just orient yourself and navigate the world around you. You need to become more empowered some way, and a partner or a relationship is going to highlight that for you this week. And it's going to be very clear to you, so long as you approach it intuitively, exactly what you need to do, and exactly how to transform in order to harness that energy in a positive way. Aquarius and Aquarius rising. So for Aquarius, this energy is happening in your second and in your sixth house. And so this is a really good sort of work related energy where you could have an important message that comes in through your work or through your coworkers or through your employees that brings in a little boost of income, or a new project that you plan or initiate or start working on that again could provide a little bit of a boost in your income. Side hustles and things like that tend to be more sixth house than fifth and sixth house, but they tend to be more sixth house than 10th house oriented. And so, this could be something where you have an idea for like a side hustle, or you want your side hustle to start to take off, and you start to make those plans, you start to communicate about it more, you start to market yourself a little bit better, and things start to move forward, and you do get a little bump from that. You could make some really positive headway with your finances through the work that you've been putting in. This is also where something that's been hidden and kept secret for quite some time is going to be illuminated or brought out into the open. It might not be experienced negatively, but it'll be like kind of like, whoa. And when that does come up for you, it's going to be very clear, so long as you're, approaching it intuitively, exactly what you need to do with that information or with that insight when it is brought out into the open in order to harness that energy in a positive way. For Pisces and for Pisces rising, this energy with Jupiter and Mercury, this is happening in your sign because you're a Pisces and Jupiter's in Pisces still. And so if you're a Pisces sun, moon, or rising anywhere from 0 to 5 degrees, you'll be feeling this in a very positive way. And this is a really great time to think more about and focus more of your mental energy around the things in life that bring you joy, your hobbies, your interests, the things that you do for fun and for relaxation and for enjoyment. This is a good week where you could learn a new skill, or connect with people who are passionate about the same things that you're passionate about. If you have to have an important conversation with your children or about your children, now is a good time to do that. I think it'll be more well received, and the people that you have to engage with in these conversations will be much more supportive and much more empathic to your situation, or empathetic to your situation. Um, there's something being illuminated involving some intense situation or some truth or knowledge involving your friends or a friend or your social circle or people that you surround yourself with by choice or through that social circle. And when it is illuminated to you, it's going to be a very positive experience. You're going to be like, oh God, I'm so glad this is out into the open now. And you're going to know exactly what to do with it and exactly how to harness it. Again, so long as you're using your intuition. But even if you're not, I mean, this is showing up in a very positive way. It's like something deep or a deeper connection actually with a friend or with a group of people will be kind of illuminated and revealed to you that you didn't realize you could harness, or you didn't realize that you could have. And so it's a good week for Pisces. Okay, and so that's my forecast for all 12 signs. And so let's get into the forecast for next week, real quick, because next week we do have a full moon in Aquarius. And so I know I said at the start of this video, we're coming into some nicer energy. This is kind of the last sort of restless, unsettled energy that we're going to be having to deal with. Not the last, we're going to have still more this year, but it's kind of like this last burst of like, all right, there was a lot of change. You had to pivot. You had to like make all these adjustments. Things were frustrating and unsettled, and you're coming up against roadblocks that cause you to have to change and move 2 steps forward, 3 step backward, 1 step sideways, reevaluate your foundations, reevaluate the structures in your life again and again. And now it's like, huh, I feel like I should be done with this. The full moon in Aquarius says, no, you're not done with it yet. This is the culmination. You're seeing what you've created. You've seen what all of your hard work and all of these changes and these disruptions are manifesting as, and what you are creating for yourself as a result of this. But there's still all of this other stuff that you need to do. And that's what's going to be really highlighted and illuminated at this full moon. not the diciest full moon of the year, but certainly, it's going to stir some stuff up related to what we've dealt with in the past few weeks. But again, it's not like we just have to deal with something brand new. It's like an assessment or a reevaluation of everything where it's like, oh, now I realize that I do have to pivot one more time, or, I put in this work here and that's good, but I have this, and this still to do. So it's kind of more like that, things reaching a culmination and you can finally see how it's bearing fruit and where it's bearing fruit, as opposed to like having to start from scratch or having a big wild change happen all at once again, for most people. And so that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share this with your friends if you feel like they could benefit from the information I share with you this week. And I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.